evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, November 17th, 2020 Miami Shores Village Council meeting. Right now, we'll be called to order. We'll start with a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Village Attorney Seraphan.
Present.
Village Manager Benton.
Here.
Vice Mayor Birch. Councilman Brady.
Here.
Councilman Lafredo.
Here.
Councilman Meltz.
Here.
Mayor Wagner.
Present.
You have quorum.
Let's start with the presentation of Commissioner Audrey Edmondson. She's actually over at Village Hall. Chief, could you please gather her? Okay, thank you. This is the text. So, if you'd like, we can move on to item 4B.
Mayor Wagner, she's out in the parking lot. I know that presentation is going to take a little bit.
Okay.
So
we just,
I would say yeah.
Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk. You started public comment?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Let me just pull it up right now. First comment is by an anonymous user. Please do something so planes don't fly over our heads. Tranquility is one of the pillars of our neighborhood. Next speaker is also anonymous. The FAA really needs to pay attention to our concerns with their new plan that will increase noise and decrease property value and quality of life. Next comment is by Ian Hosfeld. Airplane noise and impact on Miami shores. The FAA, in spite of nearly 3,000 comments protesting the routing of major air travel routes over the Upper East Side, are going ahead with their plans to make them permanent. The current noise level we're getting of planes going by low and often is nothing compared to the nonstop frequency we'll see once COVID-19 is past us and air travel resumes in earnest. I'd like to know the following. What steps have the village taken to oppose the route changes and why we're non-part of the multi-municipality petition mentioned below? The group Sky Justice Miami has been working hard to oppose this. According to them, under the federal regulations, we now have until December 14th to file petition for review, essentially suing the FAA in opposition to the routes. They just had a multi-municipality Zoom call with lawyers to discuss how best to approach the petition process with a coalition of impacted municipalities that includes North Miami, Biscayne Park, Miami Gardens, North Bay Village, Indian Creek, Bal Harbor, Bay Harbor Islands, Golden Beach, Surfside. When asked why Miami Shores was not part of this petition, they couldn't tell me. Next speaker, also anonymous, please discuss and inform residents of the village's plan to oppose the FAA flight pattern changes. Surrounding community governments have all spoken up, but MS has been absent from these events and silent about the negative impact these changes will have on our town and our homes. Thank you in advance, Sandra Fittipaldi. Next speaker is Christy Johnson. Please get involved in opposing the new flight patterns that will negatively impact our neighborhood. Next speaker, I wish to extend both my gratitude and congratulations to retiring Chairwoman Audrey Edmondson as she received the village proclamation for her generous and timely support of our village. As an active participant with Miami Shores Community Alliance, Miami Shores Fine Arts Commission, and the Greater Miami Shores Chamber of Commerce, I've worked with Ms. Edmondson and her office over the years, and she never said no. Her support for every Mayor's Gallow, many fine arts events, and the Chamber's Green Day and this year's 5K event has been most appreciated, not only by me, but our entire village, which is enriched through these three organizations. A personal note of mine is the respect she awarded by appointing me to the county's Art and Public Places Trust. As I've served, I've earned the vice chair position, which has been a distinct honor. Thank you, Audrey. We'll miss your leadership and involvement with Miami Shores. Susan Ackley, 1119 Northeast 99th Street. Next speaker is Joseph Bassett. This seems like an unnecessary hardship as the house sits on a cul-de-sac and the entrance is really only visible to the owner because of its unique location. Also, the entrance is located across from a dead space in a public park with low policing visibility. I support the variance to leave the gate and hedge at the height it currently has. Not only it protects the owner's privacy from the constant foot and car traffic on the bay, which happens at all hours and involves all sorts of activities, but also protects the lawn from salt water and constant sea spray. This height has been the same since they purchased the home over 10 years ago, and keeping it so does not disrupt the public use or enjoyment of the park in any way. I believe leaving it as it is the appropriate course of action, given that the property is in a location that differs from any other in the shores by being on a cul-de-sac and a park that does not really ever close. Changing it will not enhance the public's experience at all, but will severely affect the owner's experience, both in privacy and cost. Next speaker, I urge you to do the right thing and not force the owners of the property to lower the gate, which has been the height that it is for over 10 years since prior to the owners purchasing the property. Moreover, the property is in a location that differs from any other in the shores by being on a cul-de-sac in a park that does not really ever close. They're forcing the owners to lower the height of the gate is punitive for no good reason. Next speaker, we support the owners of this house in keeping their fence to the current height of 5 feet. The ordinance of 3 and 3.8 should have exceptions, and this is clearly one more. The area is highly trafficked and owners need privacy and ultimately safety from public access to their home. Next speaker, their gate is beautiful, fits extremely well with the neighborhood architecture and design patterns. It is very elegant and allows anyone walking the street to admire the house without infringing into the homeowner's privacy. I walk on that street weekly with my wife and kids. I just don't understand why the city would force them to change something that has been in place for years. We fully support their motion and are actually negatively surprised by the abuse of power from this council. The responsibility is to make our village better, increase the efficiency of our expenses, do more with less, reduce taxes where possible, and make the lives of our citizens better. We should not prosecute homeowners and make it difficult for them to improve their homes and our entire neighborhood. Next speaker supports that same item. Keeping the gate, this is the new speaker, keeping the gate as it is will preserve the Dumas' fine family privacy. I have enjoyed their front yard for years, as well as our beloved Bayfront Park. Their current gate helps keep a private and amenable space while not affecting the village's aesthetics. Their current entrance is in harmony with the front facade and the general Miami Shores look. The Dumas family has been for years strong supporters of the village family life. I can attest to their commitment to creating a better neighborhood for all Miami Shores residents and our guests. Their gate is a way to create an internal environment as well as to protect their landscape from sea spray. I fully support their appeal and encourage the planning board to take their allegations into consideration. Eli Bravo at 1234 Northeast 94th Street. Next speaker, I support the homeowner. The property would have zero privacy. That location is unique and therefore the experiences are not the same as the other homes along the bay. There are all types of activities along the corner facing the bay directly across from the house. Just have a seat on the porch. Next speaker, the Howards at 428 Northeast 91st Street. Next speaker, I support the appeal and no denial of the variance. Next speaker, Aaron Stauber. Honorable council members and mayor, I'm writing to you in support of Agenda 9A, specifically the proposed resolution to urge funding for the elimination of septic systems in Miami Shores in connection to the sewer. The proposed resolution is exceptional in delineating the serious issues associated with septic tanks in South Florida. The resolution recognizes the long-known environmental impacts from septic tanks as well as the hardships and health concerns they impose on the village's residents. Having septic tanks also threaten the value of homes and commercial properties in the community. Local real estate brokers are advising buyers to shy away from properties that are on septic because of all the problems associated with them. As sea levels increase, the groundwater increases, serving to compound the problems. At the same time, climate change is increasing the major rainfall events in our area, resulting in flooded septic drainage fields. These will only worsen and property values will continue to plummet unless these property owners have an opportunity to abandon their septic tanks and connect to the sewer system. Unfortunately, responsible residents who would like to abandon their septic to convert to sewer are unable to do so because it requires a sewer line to connect to. It literally will take the village to solve for this. For this same reason, cooperating with other neighboring municipalities in this effort is also critical. It just makes sense. Section 5 of the resolution directing the village clerk to do so is a big step to making this happen. Providing residents with the capability to have a properly functioning sanitary system for their home or business is a fundamental need. Septic systems fail to satisfy this need. Please pass this resolution, but even more, the village should not delay in making its own investment in this infrastructure. Thank you. Madam Mayor, this concludes the comments. I don't know if anyone out in the public would like to provide in-person public comments.
Do we have anybody from the public that would like to provide in-person public comments? If you would step forward, please speak your comments for 3 minutes and state your name and address for the rest. Public comment is still open. Okay, seeing no public comment is now closed. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will return to presentations in item 4A. We have Chairwoman Audrey Evans with us this evening. If you come to the podium now. Yeah. Thank you for joining us here this evening. Before I present this proclamation to you, I thought it was important that we as a body tell you thank you for the service that you provided for our community as a whole, and how grateful we are that you've been our county commissioners for all these years. And we want to show some appreciation and thank you for your service to the county, but to us specifically. And I'll take a personal point of privilege and say, I've appreciated your friendship over many, many, many years. It's been wonderful, and I look forward to a continued friendship. And I want to thank you personally for your service, and thank you for the guidance you've given me, over the last 15 years. I really, really appreciate it. And so I'm glad you're with us this evening. Before I present the proclamation, I don't know if any of my other colleagues would like to make a comment. Starting with Commissioner Mouse. Oh, Vice Mayor Berger.
Chairwoman, and I agree with you very much. And I would like to point out that although Miami Shores has 2 different commissioners as part of its support system from the county, that you had one of your staff at all of our meetings. And starting from the time that I became mayor, but a surprisingly thin margin of 2 votes, wow, did I appreciate that you had representation there. And we are really going to miss the way you staff your office in such a way that with so many municipalities, with so much going on, you were able to help us just about every time we had to go. And we're a little scared now because we're wondering about that support as we go forward. But we believe, but we are really going to miss you. And I know that in the public comment there was reference to your support for our particular Miami Shores events. And just to recollect that when I was there, we had this event called Margarita Village, and it was to showcase the aquatic center. And boy, was there water. And you came and somehow found space to be under a section of roof. And it looked fantastic, the whole thing. I want to know how you did it. It was just so wonderful to have your support at all those types of events over the years. And I want to thank you so much for that as well. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hirsch. Councilman Young?
Chairwoman, I want to thank you very much for not just the commitment to Miami Shores, but the whole Upper East Side. Your track record has really been unparalleled from the commission and everything you've done before. And we just are eternally grateful. And we know your influence will last. And we look forward to your further contributions. And we know you have so much more to give. But on behalf of the council and the residents, we appreciate everything you have done. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for always being there for us and for being such a great example of a servant leader. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Fredo.
Yes, I just want to thank the commissioner for all her good friendship and support over the years. She probably doesn't remember this because she's done so much good for so many people. But back in the hard times 10 and 12 years ago, we couldn't afford to pay for our fireworks events, and she funded it out of her own personal discretionary fund so we could have our fireworks. So I thank her for her friendship and her for support and care.
Thank you, Councilman Fredo. Vice Mayor Hirsch.
I just want to mention that in the area of infrastructure, Audrey, your leadership is outstanding in the northwest portion of this quadrant that you govern. And I want to thank you on behalf of the residents of Shores State for the sidewalk that went in. I want to thank you for yes. And it was so wonderful to have the improvements that you made for our local streets in that section because you cared about those residents and about improving that area. So I want to thank you very much for that.
Well, Brian, required the proclamation. Oh, yes. Manager Benson.
Well, I don't know if you remember this the first time you and I were met, but right after you became exactly the mayor of El Patel, we had a great meeting in our city hall, and ever since then we've had a great friendship. And to follow the vice mayor's comment, I don't know how many times that the chairwoman had convened meetings in her conference room in her offices to help us get through the morass of paperwork and things at the county level down there. And again, I want to really thank you. And Warner, the staff person, was always there for us anytime we ever needed anything. They were right there. So again, you helped make my job much easier. And thank you for that. And wish you the best in whatever you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
I don't think it's right, but it has been a pleasure working with various cities that fall in this group and working with this commission as well. It's not, yeah, it was time. I think it was one time to say them. And I don't regret it, but that's the first time. As well as well, here, okay, good. But again, I want to thank all of you for working with me as well. When I was able to get things accomplished in my city or in my I was working for me. I never considered myself as working for myself. I didn't care what my needs were. It was there, and the people in the county, as well as the county. So, with all of that said, I just want to thank you all, for your support, and you know, we are really going to do up something down the line. Every fire I'm going to. Again, thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to read you the proclamation. Whereas Audrey and Emerson was born and raised in Griffin City and Sweden, became active in local politics by first serving as mayor of the village of Upward South in 1999. And whereas Chairwoman Edmondson was elected to serve a 2-year term as chairwoman of the Miami-Dade County Commission on December 4th, 2018, where she has represented District 3 as Commissioner since 2005 and was re-elected in 2015 to a 4-year term. And whereas Chairwoman Edmondson represents the diverse community of the city of Miami, Brownsville, Military Trail Park, Skate Park, and Christy areas, the village of Upward South and Miami Village. And whereas as a commissioner, she has served as chair of the Housing and Social Services Committee and the Building Safer Neighborhood Subcommittee. Additionally, she was chairwoman of the Transportation and Public Works Committee and vice chairwoman of the Chairman Policy Council, just to name a few. And whereas Chairwoman Edmondson was recognized for her community work by South Florida Magazine, which made her one of South Florida's most 50 powerful Black professionals. And whereas Chairwoman Edmondson has been a worthy steward of public trust and carried District 3 on a positive course, thereby assisting Miami Shores village of obtaining sidewalks for Shores State residents, which connected pedestrians from the Boulevard all the way to Northeast 5th Avenue. And whereas over the many years, Chairwoman Edmondson served District 3 as commissioner, she responded to the needs of our village schools, the arts, the elderly, village events, and the Miami Shores Community Alliance. And whereas on the occasion of her last day as County Commission Chairwoman and Commissioner, we acknowledge her 15-year commitment to public service, especially during unprecedented times where she rose to the challenge of protecting public health during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, be it resolved, on behalf of the Village Council and the entire community, I, Mayor Crystal Wagner, do hereby express our gratitude to you, Chairwoman Auntie Edmondson, for your countless hours of service to Miami Shores Village. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. Madam Clerk, item 40.
Miami Shores Police Department Traffic Enforcement Update, item is sponsored by Councilman Jonathan Mount, delivered by Chief Kevin Lystak. Through the manager.
4B, 4C. 4B, 4C.
4B.
Oh, wait a second, item 4B.
I'm not 4B.
Sorry, 4B presentation concerning Operation Strike, delivered by EFCA, specifically Paola Baez. Paola, you're live.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to start the presentation. Can you guys see my screen?
I can see you, but I don't see you sharing the PowerPoint yet. There we go.
Perfect, thank you. Good afternoon again, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to tell you a little bit about rail safety. My name is Paola Baez, and I'm a rail consultant for FDOT District 6. In an effort to prevent fatalities and accidents at railroad crossings, last December, State Secretary Thibault launched a rail safety initiative called Operation Strive to implement the use of dynamic envelopes as a safety measure. Today, I will tell you a little bit about what are the dynamic envelopes, what are the current rail operations and future plans for expansions in Dade County. I will also tell you a little bit about the design of these envelopes, our efforts for implementation, and some tips for safe behavior around the railroad tracks. The success of Operation Strive and the impacts to safety that this program may bring is extremely important to the department because one fatality is one too many. With the introduction of Brightline to our transportation system, we have observed a big increase in passenger train frequency. The corridor where Brightline runs today had about one train a month when I started working in rail 16 years ago. Now the same corridor has almost 50 trains a day. Not only service and passengers, but freight train frequencies have also increased after the Rail Intermodal Center was completed at Port Miami. It takes a train miles to stop after it hits the brake, and the train is such a big vehicle that it can give us the impression that it's coming slower than it really is. So it's up to us to stay out of its way. So our approach to implementation of these envelopes includes the 3 E's: engineering, enforcement, and education. But what are the dynamic envelopes, and why do you need to know about them? The dynamic envelope visually highlights that danger zone where you have the potential of being struck by the train or the train's overhand, or even be affected by the lateral movements of the train's cargo. We should always stop at the stop bar, even when the gates are up. But if you're stuck in traffic, we need to stay at least outside of this danger zone. So a little bit of background on our efforts. Like I mentioned, on December of 2019, the Secretary announced the beginning of this effort. And on the same month, the department released Memorandum 1902, requiring the implementation of the dynamic envelopes on all state-run facilities. As soon as February of 2020, the department had already updated the design manuals and began implementation efforts to be completed by March of 2022. On September 2020, we launched our education campaign during Train Safety Week. So to touch a little bit on our first C, which is education. In South Florida, we have a lot of special challenges. One of them is the big amount of tourists who are not familiar with our transportation system, especially in downtown and other urban areas. For this and many other reasons, education and outreach is key. And your help for this effort is invaluable. So the answer to the question of who needs to know what are the dynamic envelopes is everyone. No matter if you're in a vehicle or if you are a pedestrian or in a bicycle or a person with special needs, we need to be aware about the dangers around the railroad property. The people in the transportation environment may be familiar with this effort, but how do we deliver the message to the average Joe? How does the everyday driver that sees these new payment markings at the railroad tracks know what they mean? Our outreach strategy includes presentations to municipalities like yours, different committees, and really anyone that would like to listen to our message. We're using social media, advertisement in transit system, ad material like flyers, posters. All of this is available and is being used. And it's available to you if you want us to share and maybe place it in your website if you're interested. We're also coming out with a video that is going to be playing in the gas stations when you're pumping your gas. So if you know of any forum that would like to listen to us, we'll be happy to be there. So what is happening in Miami-Dade County's rail system? A major metropolitan area like Miami-Dade needs to rely on different modes of transportation to effectively move people and goods, and trains are vehicles that can efficiently provide freight and passenger services. In our county, we have Metrorail, Tri-Rail, Bryland, and Amtrak that provide passenger services, and CSX and FEC that provide freight services. And I like this slide especially because it puts in perspective the difference between freight and passenger rail. Most of these services share the same rail corridors. So while you're in traffic, you could encounter a very long and slow freight train with very low frequency traveling from 10 to 25 miles per hour, or very frequent and short passenger train, but traveling from 60 to 79 miles per hour. Passenger rail is experiencing more expansion. There are plans to start Tri-Rail Downtown Miami Link service, which will connect the existing Tri-Rail service to downtown Miami. And another upcoming service is the Tri-Rail Coastal Link, which is a strategic investment for our region and will improve mobility as it will connect Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, including a brand new station in Aventura. So I mentioned that one of the E's is engineering. How do we decide that the dynamic envelopes could be an effective safety measure? We have completed the engineering, and we can share this design approved by the Federal Railroad Administration that has become part of our standards. Basically, the dynamic envelope are these new pavement markings that delineate and highlight that danger zone. FDOT conducted 2 pilot projects which show a lot of promise and provided from 15 to 45% reduction in vehicles stopped within the railroad dynamic envelope, and more than 50% reductions in vehicles stopped within the gates during activation. Let me touch a little bit on the last E, which is enforcement. FDOT has been a partner in Operation Lifesaver for many years. Operation Lifesaver is a nonprofit organization and nationally recognized leader in rail safety education. Since 1972, through an education program in the entire United States, with the support of public education programs, like I said, Operation Lifesaver remains committed to preventing collisions, injuries, and fatalities on around the railroad tracks. Through this program, we team up with municipal and state police forces to enforce the respect of railroad signage. Part of the design of the dynamic envelope also includes this MUTCD-approved sign that reads, "Do not stop on tracks." This sign is enforceable by law. You can actually get a moving violation ticket if you do not respect it. As you can see in this slide, there are also supplementary additional signs that can be placed on side street, especially when visibility is hard and the railroad is right as you turn. And this is our new design standard. The design on the left is for single tracks, and the one on the right is for multiple tracks, adjacent tracks. Aside from the advanced pavement markings and signage we are used to seeing, now we have this new X's to highlight that danger zone. And of course, the do not stop on track signage that is also being included before and after the crossing in every quadrant. So as you enter and as you exit. So what has been our implementation plan and where are we placing these pavement markings? In the interest of safety, the department is working aggressively on implementation of these dynamic envelopes for all the state-owned facilities. We have begun implementing this dynamic envelope on 89 rail crossings in suburban and urban areas of Miami-Dade County. 57% of these crossings are on state roads and 43% along off-system roadways on the South Florida Rail Corridor, which is owned by the state. Our implementation strategy has been to work as a team to make this a successful task. This project demands high level of effort and strong coordination, not only internally within the department, but also working with municipalities, Miami-Dade County, the railroads, and other stakeholders. Our Traffic Operations Office is also working on a pre and post study to help us quantify the effects and benefits of the dynamic envelopes. We have already completed the design for all 89 crossings, and we're currently working on the construction efforts. We began construction in September of 2020 and have completed about 65% of the program crossings. Now, let me tell you a little bit about our successful completions. The first one I'm showing you here is Crum Avenue, located down south in Miami-Dade County, just north of Southwest 232nd Street. This crossing has pedestrian and a bicycle path. Another one that we have completed is Biscayne Boulevard. This crossing is a designated quiet zone. It's extremely important to be attentive and aware of our surroundings when we are close to a railroad crossing, but even more important when we are in a quiet zone. At this crossing, the train will not blow the horn. So to be aware of its approach depends only on hearing the engine and seeing the train signal equipment being activated. So we should always be aware that this crossing is also close to the arena and has a lot of pedestrians and vehicle traffic in case of events. Especially with queues caused by heavy traffic, it is very easy to get stuck in that danger zone. The next crossing I'm showing you is Port Boulevard, which is also a quiet zone between Bayside and the arena, presenting the same design difficulties as Biscayne Boulevard. Its geometry is especially challenging since the crossing is diagonal. The stop bars are very, very far away on each side, so it's very easy for a vehicle to get closer to that danger zone, to that dynamic envelope area. Stereo 915, Northeast 6th Avenue, within the limits of your municipality, has about 39 trains a day, with both freight and passenger train traffic. Currently Brightline for passenger services and Florida East Coast Railway for freight. But once the Coastal Link starts services, their trains will also use this corridor. This crossing is mostly on a residential area close to a Publix, about 8,600 vehicles per day. This is the only state-owned rail facility that we have within your jurisdiction. The department has made every effort for fast implementation of these dynamic envelopes. We have added dynamic envelopes to existing roadway construction projects, to railroad reconstruction projects, and even led fast response projects for the sole purpose of implementation of this safety measure. At Northwest 13th Avenue in the downtown lead, we added the implementation of the dynamic envelope to a railroad crossing surface reconstruction project built in partnership with SFRTA. Another crossing completed on the downtown lead is Northwest 23rd Street, right east of Northwest 27th Avenue. The geometry of this crossing is out of this world and almost impossible for vehicles to avoid this danger zone while waiting for the traffic signal to change. Having the dynamic envelope on crossing in areas like this is especially important. These locations are very dark at night. Some of them don't even have flashers, only crosswalks, and they are easy to miss at night. Fortunately, trains in this area are very slow and seldom. Northwest 27th Avenue along the downtown lead as well is the continuation of that track coming from Northwest 23rd Street. These crossings are all located in commercial areas where it's mostly warehouses. Only 1 to 3 trains per week pass by this corridor, and usually at night, so people don't expect to see the train. They're not used to having trains because they're there during the day and there's hardly any train. A lot of the times, they think that the gates are malfunctioning and when they see the flashers on. Another important effort that I'd like to highlight is that the department, through the Signal Safety Program, works really hard on implementing railroad crossing signal equipment on off-system and on-system crossings. The last crossing I will show you today is on Northwest North River Drive. Its geometry being extremely challenging, just like Biscayne Boulevard and Port Boulevard. And this one is very close to the Miami Intermodal Center and right under the Metro Rail. So like I said before, let's not forget that all modes of transportation need to be safe around the rail property. The safety of pedestrians, bicycles, and people in wheelchairs around rail crossings also depends on all of us. Be attentive, never had headphones on so that you can hear the signs of the train approaching. Look at both sides. Trains come in both directions. For cyclists and wheelchairs, try to cross those tracks at a 90-degree angle to avoid getting stuck. And for bicycles, if possible, dismount. Exercise caution. Sometimes the sidewalk conditions are not the best around the tracks, and there is always a gap at the rail tracks. Many times, We encounter difference in elevations or tripping hazards. Be attentive. Only you can control your behavior at the crossings. Your safety depends on you. And we're here for a call for action. How can you help us? Overall, do not stop on tracks. The signs you see are enforceable. You could get a ticket, especially for crossings close to traffic signals. It is very easy to get stuck at that danger zone. Please proceed with caution when approaching the rail. As soon as you see those big R's, those are the advanced payment markings. You're as close as 100 feet to the railroad crossing. But most importantly, please partner with us to spread the word of rail safety. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And this is my contact information.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Burge?
Yes. Pamela, this is my question. You know, in Miami-Dade, we have more than 10 schools and universities. And as you said in your presentation, education is key. Some of the points you just went over on the last slide about safety for pedestrians, for anyone on the street at the time the train is passing, so important. Are you saying, and did you say at the beginning of your presentation, that there would be a speaker available should we get it out to our schools here and the university, that someone would come out by appointment and educate the students about safety at these crossings?
Yes, so definitely we are trying to find every forum that we can talk to. We had a presentation last week with the school board, and we're also going to be presenting to FIU and UM, and we're happy to go to any schools if we can definitely coordinate to talk to some of the principals and do meetings with the kids. A lot of the times when the kids are the ones that tell their parents, don't stop on the tracks because I heard that is dangerous. So we want them to be the ones telling them to stay away from those tracks. So definitely right now, like I said, we have only presented to the school board, and we have a scheduled presentation with FIU and UM, but we'll be happy to find any more forums where we can spread the word of safety.
Question one, are you going to be able to give that contact information to our clerk?
I'm sorry, but it's a little bit hard for me to understand when you're a panelist, the voice doesn't come out perfect. Can you repeat the question maybe closer to a microphone?
Sure, Vice Mayor, I have her contact information. I'll work with her on that.
Oh.
Thank you, Paola.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and for the opportunity to talk to you.
Next item is the approval of the October 20th, 2020 Village Council meeting minutes. Madam Mayor, as indicated in my email to the council, there is an error in the council. I'm sorry. The next item is Miami Shores Police Department Traffic Enforcement Update, sponsored by Councilman Jonathan Nelson, delivered by Chief Lifestyle.
Enforcement for around the board, been a little bit challenges here. Mostly in effect of the COVID impact on how we police. Looking at last year, we were well above our numbers of the last year, moving in the right direction to traffic enforcement. Yeah, then COVID kind of restricted our ability to do traffic enforcement based on a number of factors, including the PCU making for our state. So they're able to have every call to the city and don't make an operating station basically eliminate our workforce. residents of Miami Shores. So back in September, we started graduating our restored traffic enforcement operations about mid-September. Since mid-September, we have approximately 60 extra details, specifically enforcing traffic enforcement. There's an additional 274 man-hours enhancing those efforts. Some of the numbers I can talk about for October. October, we had 154 citations, 119 for by traffic details. 26 of those were for speed enforcement. During that same time period, we issued 171 to violators, 121 of those were for speeding. And so our approach is going to be, or has been, to first try and move residents and the motor populace back into compliance with the laws through the education campaign. And then that will shift from the warning to more significant citations to more significant warnings. Our November operations through the first 2 weeks, we had 52 citations, 41 original details for speed enforcement, 72 warnings, and 54 of those were speed-related warnings. So far, our efforts have been concentrated on our main thoroughfares and areas where we had the highest number of traffic crashes, including the fatality we had on 10-15 on that is kind of close to 6th Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 103rd Street, 95th Street, and a little bit on the line and a little bit on the as we continue to ramp up and engage, we'll move that to continuing on all main thoroughfares and all main east and west borders throughout the city. So as we move into holiday, we'll slightly increase our warnings and maybe some of our citation costs, our citation interest, just to allow our residents and community partners to maybe have a great Thanksgiving. And just so I can give you a little reason behind that, these are some of the questions that I've got. So what we're seeing right now is an average speed of about between 10 and 20 miles over the coastal speed limit in the area where we're writing stop drivers. So for a violator that's driving 10 or 15 miles over the speed limit, it's like $219. For those that are 15 to 19 miles over the speed limit, $269. 20 to 29 miles over, $294, and 30 plus is $369. And I always get questions, so I'll answer here. We don't see that revenue. That revenue is the state is provided up a number of different factors. It doesn't come to this part, so we're not revenue generating by any. That's not our purpose. With that, we have to answer any questions. Something will be faster than those the answers in the numbers observing the operations, then we'll conduct some tactical math for a number of different reasons. One of the high priority for the safety of the office.
No.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, can you hear me okay? Hear you just fine. Okay. Chief, I want to thank you first and foremost for coming out here today to the update. And I want to thank you for being so reactive or receptive to the request from myself and the rest of the council. Thank you, Ben, for all putting this together. You know, it's been a lot of residents and us our own concerns to go out there and to do this because we see it every day. I was on the phone with Tom, who was the last, and he had to stop because somebody was speeding down 2nd Avenue. I think their officers were calling him right there. So I went live, play by play, Tom was like Monday football, tell me what was going on. And these things are happening every day. And I don't know if you can tell us if the majority of them residents or non-residents. You have residents or not. I don't have that information whether I can. It's probably a split. If we hold historically, I would say it's probably a 70-30 split, 70% non-residents, 30% residents. That's generally in that range of what it's been. I don't have those numbers. I can get those numbers taking analyzing every single citation. So that's the first part of it. Thank you. But here's the second part. So what's the plan to continue? Now, you know, I appreciate the presence that you got there, and I did request a little package. Do not follow through on that. Do you have a plan for the next few months? Or are you, I mean, October is seeming very miserable. We're now in November,
Is it the same man hours this month or not? And what's gonna happen? And Rudy said that we're not issuing the tickets for the holidays to give folks a break. But what can we expect? What can the residents expect? Is if you just put that presence out there and you're gonna taper back? Or can we expect to see that throughout the rest of the year?
So the only tapering that might occur is during holiday season, some of our people also take off. So that creates a staffing issue. So there may be a tapering as it relates to the number of officers acting in enforcement that won't reduce the enforcement effort. However, what you will see is likely a shift between the issuance of citations and issuance of more warnings. Now, we are tracking the warnings, so we know if we warn somebody before they've got a warning for speeding, they're going to get a citation. They're not going to get a second chance at saying, hey, look, there's the rules, there's the law, follow the law, we need the warning this time. As it relates to going forward, it's hinging on one aspect, which is upfitting of our traffic units, with specifically, we want to bring in body cameras into those units and traffic enforcement units, because that generates a lot of personal contact and can generate, it hasn't historically, but it has the potential to generate a lot of issues and complaints. And so we want to make sure that we can monitor that, audit it, make sure officers do the right thing in case something happens. I expect us to go back to where we were pre-COVID and accelerate that from January, February of next year, depending on a number of things, one of which is the vaccine for COVID being available for first responders. Once that occurs, and then the risk is mitigated, and we have body cameras in place on the traffic, then our efforts will ramp up.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that this is going to be a put in place as a continuous procedure for.
This will be continuous until the traffic units are full-time in the morning traffic, and then the traffic units will take primary on that, and then patrol will be supporting the traffic units should there be spikes or areas of concern.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Burt.
You mentioned the busy street and you said some enforcement on Miami-Dade. You know, you have council for a lot. Having residents, especially those north of the street. Can you talk a little bit about that area?
So that's a challenging intersection right there, right after 103rd, because everyone wants to race the light to get to the narrowing of the roadway. There's a couple of positives though. The roundabout at Variance really haven't caused anything significant. We were concerned there would be more crashes and incidents and deferring those. That didn't really occur, but traffic is still light. We're still not at full volume in the afternoon, so we don't know what that will mean until actually everything is restored to some sense of normalcy. You know, a couple things that I would consider is, you know, and I've discussed this with the city manager, is where that right turn is right there at 105th Street, is delineating that down with lane markers so that we force them to make that maneuver earlier, right after the light, and try and prevent that. I'm not sure what necessarily needs to be authorizing that, but there are times where we talk with the county and we ask for certain things they don't provide to us based on FDOT guidelines and regulations. And those are not necessarily always in concert with what residents and elected officials would like to occur. FDOT's responsibility is to move traffic as quickly as they can, whereas opposed ours is direct conflict that is to mitigate that, make people follow the law. So they're not really congruent. They're not always congruent with what they design and what they want to do, with what we can do, and sometimes there's specific federal guidelines so you can't do that. So we do actually have and have had a number of enforcement over Miami, including some high visibility just in front of that to try and slow people down before they would make that maneuver. There has been sporadic enforcement. The trouble is the data makes it very difficult. There are very sporadic occurrences where we see on the data that there are smart trailers or we have another one that's not a trailer, it's actually a pole mount. It makes it very difficult because there's no pattern to enforce. It's sporadic all over the place. And so sending officers out there, it becomes hit or miss. When we send officers out there for an hour, 2 hours a month, they don't come up with anything, they report back there was nothing there. That doesn't mean the problem is mitigated. It just means that we didn't catch it on that particular day. So we'll continue to enforce that. In fact, I got another notice from the homeowners on 105th Street about that emergency today. And so we'll schedule an enforcement or reinforcement back at that location either later this week or part of next week.
questions for Chief Lesnar? Thank you. That's a very detailed report. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom.
Take care.
Next item is 6A, approval of the October 2020 Village Council meeting minutes. As indicated in my email to the council, there is an error under council comments, that were meant for Councilman Reddy or attributed to Councilman Mount. So staff is asking for a motion of approval as amended.
Do I have a motion for approval as amended?
Madam Mayor, I vote that we would do
Councilman Brady, do I have a second? You guys have all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item 7A, an appeal of a decision by the planning board denying the variance for front yard gate for the property located at 9650 North Bay Shore Drive. The appellants are Yanis and Veronica Dumas.
Mr. Dumas, you want to come to the podium? Mr. Dumas. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dumas. Thank you. You would like to make a comment? Okay.
I would like to hope that because the accountant did not really understand their chances were horrible, if they paid $706 for the appeal, I'd like to propose that we consider refunding their fee. It's withdrawn from the account.
You're talking about, is this a fee charged for the appeal in front of this council or the variance fee?
Mr. General?
Well, there wasn't a fee to appeal the council. The only fee in question would be the planning and zoning for public hearing application fee, which was $750, which was applied for prior to, I guess, the fee associated with the application, which was part of the planning and zoning board.
Some part of that, I think, went for notice purposes or but you can, I mean, if it's the will of the council, we can work with this event. We'll see what we can do about it.
Okay, well, maybe I should try a little bit to my fellow council members to understand that, first of all, I, in my past, talked a neighbor into doing a variance and wanted to go to their living room afterwards and tell them that I give them their money back. You can tell some badly, they worked so hard and covered all the bases. And of course, here tonight, we heard that they do have a lot of comments from your neighbors being okay with it. But the fact of the matter is that many residents, even though they're told by staff in a nice way, they don't understand that the change to this type of variance. None, mostly zero. And since the time that I was helping my neighbor several years ago, the fee has gone from $350 to $750. Not only people voted for that, and I understand, and I know where the fee comes from. But in this particular case, the homeowner had the fee plus the expense of the gates. And I'm just saying that I think in this particular case, not this extraordinary precedent that's been made for the village. It is something that, to me, I think needs to be right there. So, I'm putting it out there, hoping that maybe somebody will.
Councilman Null?
I'll be honest, I have no idea what's going on. However, you're not explaining the whole story, but I think I have a sense of what your intent is, and it seems like you're trying to come to some sort of equitable relief for the homeowner. But I don't know the backstory, obviously we haven't talked about it, but I don't understand everything. But what I think this council has done in previous situations, I only remember one other variance. And I know the council has done what Mr. Seraphin has recommended. So even without everything being explained for the purposes of moving along, I would feel very comfortable in delegating to the manager to work with the homeowners to refund most of the fee, but for what we've paid maybe for some things that we've had to do, because that's not fair to make the other taxpayers pay for posting or notices, but try to refund as much of that application as possible and then move on.
Thank you, Councilman.
It sounds great.
That
Thank
was
you.
great clarification, and I would concur with you. Where I would disagree with Vice Mayor Burke, that I would not ever discourage any resident from not filing for a variance and filing for that. Would never discourage anybody. It's in their right to do. Having said that, I do agree that if there is an opportunity for them to look at the managers, provide some relief in the form of a refund, I agree with that. So at this point, Mr. Attorney, do we need to take a vote on that?
No.
Or do we just?
I think I heard at least 3 council people express it a bit, but hold on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 8A, appointment to the planning board. There is one unexpired term. The village clerk's office received 8 applications. Out of those 8 applications, all of the applicants meet the minimum requirements, with the exception of Edie Anudoglu, who is only residing in the village for 6 months. However, as you know, a 4/6 vote may override the residency requirement. And let me just pull up the first applicant just a moment. First applicant present is
Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Hi, my name's Coach. I appeared at the last time the council addressed
Just a moment, Councilman Alfredo, could you mute your? Are you muted? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. McCon.
No problem. I'll be brief because I spoke a couple weeks ago. The last time the council addressed this issue. I'm still very much interested in being on the Planning and Zoning Board. I'm an attorney here in Miami Shores. I'm a real estate attorney. I've also lived here my entire life. I've recently bought a condo here a few years ago. Care a lot about the community. My family's lived here a long time. I have my own law practice here, and I also work for a large real estate firm in the area. I'm still very much interested in being on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I hope that the council considers my application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCon. Next speaker is Mr. John Bolton, who's here in person.
Good evening, council. Take this off. My name is John Bolton. I live at 1202 Northeast 101st Street, Miami Shores. I've lived in Miami Shores for 27 years. Raised 3 daughters here. I've served on several boards. I've served on the Historical Preservation Board. I've been on the Police Pension Board for the last 6 years. I've never missed a meeting of the Police Pension Board. And I'm now have my application for the Planning Board. I'm a civil engineer with 35 years experience. 20 years I've had my own company in Miami. And I'm very familiar with region site plans, architectural plans, buildings, and codes. I want to continue to volunteer and serve the village of Miami Shores. I think the Planning Board is a good opportunity for me to continue that. And I want to also maintain the character and charm of the village of Miami Shores through the development of the planning and zoning codes and the enforcement of the planning and zoning codes. So, that said, I'd like to consider my application.
Thank you. This concludes public comments from the board applicants. Before the council proceeds to cast their votes, I just want to let the Zoom attendees know that as soon as I launch the poll, please refrain from using such feature. This is only for the council members to cast their votes, not for the public. You may now cast your vote. Okay, I do see that an attendee, we do have an attendee that voted. I would have to relaunch the poll. Apologize for that. Once again, for all Zoom attendees, this polling feature is only for the council. Please refrain from using the polling feature. Thank you. Okay, I have 4 so far. Did everyone cast their vote?
Yeah, the on our screen, just they may not get to scroll up and hit the submit button and put off and on,
Okay.
just in case somebody didn't see it.
Mr. Lafredo, did you cast your vote? Okay. Okay, we have 5 out of 5. According to the results, John Bolton has been appointed to the Planning and Zoning Board. Congratulations.
I won't run my record yet.
Okay, the next item is the Recreation Advisory Committee. There are 4 vacancies. The village clerk's office received 7 applications. All of the applicants are qualified in terms of meeting the minimum residency requirements. See, the first and only speaker we have present is Gail Mercado. I'm going to allow you to speak. Ms. Mercado, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Gail Mercado. I've lived in Miami Shores with my family for about 16 years. I enjoy this town. My daughter has done a lot of activities at the rec center. We just really enjoy Miami Shores, and I would be honored to be part of the rec board to help move it forward. Please, if the board could consider me for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mercado. There are no more board applicants present to speak on the board appointment. I will now proceed to launch the vote. Oh, I do see one more applicant present. It's just Ms. Soder, Ms. Lisa Soder. I'm sorry if I could just allow her to speak. Ms. Soder?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we're live.
Hi, thank you. I'm Lisa Soder, and I'm currently a member of the Recreation Advisory Board. I was appointed 2 years ago. And for those of you who weren't serving on council at the time, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I lived in Miami Shores for 5 years now, and I'm a single mom of a 14-year-old son, and we've taken full advantage of all the recreation programs that the department offers, and I consider the recreation program to be one of the gems of Miami Shores, which is why I had wanted to originally serve on this board. And I also thought that the initiatives of the program fit nicely with my background and skill set. I have a 25-year career of working for large corporations in event planning. I worked for Macy's Special Events for 10 years and worked on such big projects as the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and the Olympic programming in Atlanta back in the 90s. And then I was also part of the startup marketing team for CarMax, and I was in charge of grand opening 25 stores in 12 markets over the course of 5 years during the period that CarMax went from a startup to a Fortune 500 company. Currently, I'm working for TomTom, the navigation company. I'm working on all the trade shows in the US, and I've been in this job for 10 years now. My term, I feel like, was cut a little short because of the pandemic, and I'd love the opportunity to see some of the projects that we had started through to completion, like the Children's Splash Park as one of the examples. And also in my current role with trade show planning and event planning in the US during this time, I've spent the past 9 months taking the events for my company from physical to virtual. And I think that some of the learnings over the past 9 months would also probably be beneficial to the board for my experience of what I've done. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We also have Sandra Caro. Ms. Caro?
Yes. Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you everyone for considering me. My name is Sandra Caro. I've lived in Miami Shores now for, I believe, 8.5 years. I have a 7 and a 9-year-old child that are actively participating in a lot of the events and all the activities at the rec center. My children were at the learning pods this summer when they could, or this past few months, or the last 5 weeks or before school started. They've been to all the camps, and I'm a very active person, participate in marathons and half marathons, highly active in the community. I'd really like the opportunity to participate in this board to see if I could help, get the community more engaged and get some more activities that I think that would be really beneficial for young and older children in the community. I have my MBA from University of Miami in marketing and international business. I'm a senior executive at AIG, working on multinational accounts in insurance. And my husband is a local entrepreneur who owns a business on 69th and Biscayne, is a restaurant owner. So we're very much involved, part of the community, and definitely appreciate the opportunity to be part of this, part of the board and helping to enrich our community. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Caro. Next speaker is Natasha White. Ms. White?
Hi, yes, I'm here. My name is Natasha White. I've been in the community of Miami Shores for 2 years. Prior to being here, I've been very active in the Alapata community where I work, but I've been wanting to get involved in the community where I live. I have a host of experience with programming, event planning, and things like that with families and children and youth. I would like to use some of those skills in Miami Shores to branch out our community, to see our community grow in different ways, to expand the opportunities for families and youth and children. I would like to get involved, and I like to start as soon as possible in our community and just touch the ground running. So I'm really excited to be considered by the board for this opportunity to serve on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. If there are no further any questions from the council, we'll proceed to vote. You may now cast your vote. Okay, we have 5 out of 5. Wait a second, now we have, seems like some of the attendees voting once more. Kindly ask that all attendees please refrain from voting. This feature is only for the council. Thank you. You may now cast your vote. Okay, seems like we have 5 out of 5. And we have a tie between Sandra Caro and Lisa Soder. So let's see if I'm sorry, Sandra Caro, Lisa Soder, Natasha White, and then Gail Mercado have been appointed to the Recreation Advisory Committee. So we have 1, 2, just to make sure, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, Lisa Soder, Natasha White, Gail Mercado, and Sandra Caro. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
The next item is the Country Club Advisory Board. There are 3 vacancies on this board, and we do have board applicants present. The first speaker I have is Irene Fajardo. Fajardo?
Shakira just called on Google Voice. Oh.
Hello? Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Irene Fajardo. I have lived in Miami Shores for 29 years. I am now raising my 2 girls here with my husband. My family and I really enjoy going to the country club. We actually got married there, and I want to become a member of the advisory board because I would really love to help bring residents to the club and really show them what an asset it is to have a country club and hopefully have more members.
It's a Zoom webinar, but you can't see anybody. Like, you only can see the council people.
Hello?
Ms. Fajardo.
Yes. Oh, I don't know. I was hearing someone else speaking.
Seems like somebody forgot to mute your mic. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Well, I want to become a member of the advisory board to really help more residents, and show them what an asset it is to have a country club in our community. We got married there. My husband and I got married there. We've lived in Miami Shores. I lived in Miami Shores for 29 years. So I am hoping to become part of the advisory board to just bring more residents into the club, and not just the golfers, but the families. Maybe create some events to get people to come, and that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Fajardo. Next speaker is Mark Gallow.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Mark Gallow. I live at 933 Northeast 99th Street. Been a resident for 20 years, a member for about 15 years. First of all, I wanted to thank all of you, council members, Madam Mayor, Tom Benton, and Ms. Rodriguez for everything you guys are doing. I know year in and year out, you guys do a lot, and we really do appreciate it, especially this year, toughest year in a long time, probably forever. So I do appreciate everything you guys do, And I just wanted to say that because I know that, a lot's been going on in the community. So I really do appreciate that. And I just wanted to touch base about the club. We realized this year how important this club is to the community based on, all the things that we're missing. And of course, the banquets, the weddings, the celebration of life, celebration of birth, all these things that we're just missing out with the club. So, and of course, we've maintained the golf, which has been good. And we realize how good that is. But I just want to continue the good work that I'm doing with the club. And with your vote, I will have confidence that I will be showing up to these meetings and take great pride in being a board member of the Miami Shores Country Club. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gallow. Next speaker is Bill Griffin. Mr. Griffin? You're muted.
How's that?
There you go. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Bill Griffith. I've been a member of the country club on and off for more than 50 years. My parents were members before me. Grew up there, basically, played golf in the junior program and worked there as a teenager. And I've seen its highs and its lows, and and the course has never been better. And I know a lot of the members, and I'm familiar with what they're looking for, and I'm also familiar with the management. So I think I have something to add going forward, and I appreciate you hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. If there are no questions from the council, I will now launch the poll. You may now cast your vote. Once again, this feature is only for the council, so I kindly ask all Zoom attendees to please refrain from voting. This feature is only for the council. You may now cast your vote. Okay, once again, I have one more Zoom attendee who voted. Once more, this feature is only for the council, not for board applicants, not for attendees. Please refrain from using the Zoom polling feature. You may now cast your votes. Okay, we have 5 out of 5, and the following board applicants have been selected: Irene Fajardo, Mark Gallow, and Bill Griffith. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is appointment to the General Employee Pension Board. There is one employee vacancy. Village Clerk's Office posted vacancy notices in all communal areas of Village Hall. I've also asked other facilities such as the Recreation Department, Public Works Department to also post vacancies for the General Employee Pension Board. We've only received one application from Ms. Dorney. At this point, a motion by acclamation, a vote by acclamation would be preferred to nominate if you so choose.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Freya.
Yeah, I would move that we appoint Ms. Dorney reappoint her to the board by acclamation.
And I'll second it. in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mayor?
Councilman Young?
Can we still ever get out there and
Next item is 9A, a resolution of the Village Council of Miami Shores Village, Florida, urging the United States Congress and the Florida Legislature to provide funding to assist local governments with the elimination of septic systems and conversion to sewer system connections, directing the village manager to include this request among the Miami Shores Village's legislative priorities in 2020 and 2021, directing the village clerk to transmit a copy of this resolution to the named officials listed herein and providing for an effective date. This item is sponsored by Vice Mayor Alice Birch.
Vice Mayor Birch.
I think we refunded and we read this resolution. I think it is strong. It has legs. And at the end, we're sending it off to the other municipalities who are in our same boat, which I think is going to help our cause. I know, that we might have been part of, some of the complaints that have been received during this incredible rain event series that we had. And we know that the septic systems are under pressure. It seems like the time is right to test something like this. And hopefully with this rolling stone will gather some moss in the newly launching legislative session. So I'm hoping my colleagues see this in a favorable way.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Birch. Any comments from council? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Miles. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? No. Thank you.
Item 9B, a resolution of the Miami Shores Village Council creating a budget amendment number 8 to the fiscal year 2019-2020 operating budget, increasing revenues and effectuating transfers to reverse the year-end budgetary deficit. This item is brought forth by the finance director through the village manager.
Madam Mayor, we have a whole two housekeeping measures, two resolutions that we pass every year. The first one is what we call true up, that basically in some line items we add money, in some items we subtract money. At the end of the year, we are not taking any money out of the bank or anything like that. It's basically we not overspend our budget. It's just some line items we spend more money and some less in. So at the end of the year, the finance director is required to what they call true up the budget. So that takes care of number 9B and 9C. If I can just go to that for the sake of time, this particular resolution allows us to carry forward money for projects that are either in progress or things that we didn't get a chance to start, that we're getting ready to start. And so in order for us to have that money available to us in this fiscal year, the finance department has to roll that money over. So that's what these two resolutions are about.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, is it appropriate for us to vote on both your time?
If you like.
Madam Mayor, if I could just read that item into the title into the record.
Yes.
Resolution of the Miami Shores Village Council creating budget amendment number 1 to the fiscal year 2020-2021 operating budget appropriating $152,140 from the general fund balance, appropriating $9,000 from the local option gas tax fund balance, appropriating $1,029,724 from the capital projects fund balance, appropriating $18,750 from the water and sewer fund balance, and appropriating $216,118 from the fleet maintenance fund balance.
Madam Mayor, if you could, somebody can motion to approve both of those.
Do I have a motion to approve both? Thank you. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Madam Mayor, if I could get a roll call vote just for the benefit of the finance director to have that for the record.
Okay, but Madam Clerk, are you going to need a roll call vote on the municipal
No, I'm opposed. The motion is as stated for both items 9B and 9C, just to roll call vote. Councilman Brady,
Yes.
Councilman Lefredo,
Yes.
Councilman Mel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Birch, Mayor Weiger.
Yes.
Motion passes for item 9B and 9C. 9B, a resolution of the Village Council of Miami-Dade, Village, Florida, authorizing the village manager to execute the first charter school renewal contract with the School Board of Miami-Dade County, Florida for Dr. Charter School. This item is brought forth by the village manager.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, ma'am. As you all know, I brought forward, several months ago, the charter school contract where you all unanimously voted to renew it. Unfortunately, even though I sent them the minutes that showed that you all had unanimously approved it, they would not accept my signature without a resolution for this body, so I would ask you to pass this resolution indicating that I'm authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
By the way, I've asked the county for their resolution. Have hair to authorize something. Sure.
Thank you. Do you have a motion? Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Item 10A, approval of the RP 2020-09-02 ranking and award for emergency debris management to debris management as a primary contractor with Tetra Tech as an alternative contractor and authorizing the village manager to execute all related documents. This item is brought forth by the Public Works Director through the village manager.
Mr. Manager.
Madam Mayor, the Public Works Department has gone out to bid for a new monitoring company, and what this company does is they follow around all of our crews, and whether it be our in-house crews or subcontractors, after a major hurricane, they go around and they have to monitor every single stick of trash that we pick up, where the trash came from, what truck it went into, where the truck dumped, who was driving the truck. They have to document everything for FEMA. We're going with a different firm. Obviously, as you all know, we're having difficulties collecting from Irma because of past contractors we've had. So we're moving forward with a new one. Because our primary contractor did not show up the last time, we're recommending two firms that are both very qualified and responding to our bid. If we hire both of them, the first one being debris tech, and if for some reason they fail to respond, then we use Tetra Tech as a backup. We vetted those companies that both came to us very highly recommended.
Most of the questions. Very good. Do I have any comments or questions from the council? Listen to the microphone.
I have not spoken with Frank about that, and in my discussions with the emergency meeting, folks that have not come up, but I certainly will. And it's something that we could do. We could go around video. We can obviously the amount of track varies so much from storm to storm, depending on the wind. When it comes to placing trees, or you can certainly use that video and say, look, there was a tree here, and now it's gone.
Okay. Any more comments or questions from the council? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Vice Mayor Bush. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any opposed? Thank you.
Item 10B, discussion and possible action to enact a fertilizer ordinance in conformity with the Miami-Dade County ordinance regulating fertilizer application and usage. This item is sponsored by Councilman Stephen Lafredo.
Madam Mayor, can I go forward? Can I go ahead?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, when I first brought this up, I thought of this as a way to adopt an ordinance or to see if the council was interested in adopting an ordinance that would be in conformity with and would kind of mesh with the county ordinance. But in discussing the matter with the village manager, he pointed out that the clause in, I think it's 18C-1B, it's countywide for both unincorporated and incorporated areas. So it wouldn't be necessary for us to adopt our own special ordinance. We could adopt a stricter ordinance, but not a more lenient ordinance. That's one issue that I want to bring to the council's attention. The other issue is, and I couldn't find it in here, it doesn't mean it's not in here, but I couldn't find an exception for golf courses, so that's a concern. So I think what I'd like instead, I think we still need to adopt our own fertilizer ordinance, assuming that there's a majority of the council that wants to do this. But I think this needs a little more work on our part to see where we want to go with it. Because I was as aghast as you all were in the campaign ads to see those pictures of all the dead fish in Biscayne Bay and how terrible plus I smelled it a few months ago. So I definitely think we need a fertilizer ordinance, but I'm not ready to go forward with it at this time. I would appreciate any comments anybody might have, but I was talking to the manager and he may want to weigh in on this, that maybe we want to see about him and the village attorney getting on a committee with the county for the second reading to make sure that the golf courses are exempt, or at least they can live with the new ordinance that's coming in.
I'm gonna, Councilman Fredo, this is Crystal. With regards to this ordinance that's coming out of the county, it's only been before the county on the first reading, so it hasn't even gone to second reading. I tell you that for a reason. This particular ordinance is going to be vetted by several municipalities within the county, and all those municipalities are going to be submitting comments to the county with regard to the ordinance as written and as read on the first reading. So I suspect that this ordinance will be tweaked in the meantime. I also suspect that this ordinance is not going to come back before the county body until sometime January, February, somewhere there. With regard to the golf courses, I've spoken to several municipalities here in the county. Likewise, folks over at Pinellas County, Manatee County, San Diego County, and in Naples, and there will be a carve out for golf courses. It just has not been specifically developed yet because this is a living document and it's still being developed. I do agree that we need to have something in place with regards to fertilizers, and I certainly don't oppose to having something stricter than this. However, I'm not sure that we can, until we see some of the final documentation coming out from the county, and also are able to look at comments from other municipalities within the county and maybe sort of look through that and submit our own comments. I think you're right, this is a bit premature. I do want to participate in this, I think you're absolutely correct, but I think there's a lot more research and input from municipalities that's coming forward that we should be paying close attention to.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Vice Mayor Bush?
Well, I wanted to add to your comments, thank you. On March 3rd, 2020, we did pass a resolution about fertilizer.
Resolution.
If you recall. And I wanted to say that this ordinance is stronger in some measures, even in the few things that we mentioned. So it's recommending May 15th to September 30th blackout period. It's recommending a delay of fertilizer application based on the National Weather Service forecast. It's recommending 25 feet from the top of the seawall rather than 15, which is what we were discussing. And I did speak to Mr. Benson about marking the storm drains. I know he's got that project in the back burner. So this ordinance is so comprehensive that they're thinking about. And I did find out from someone at the county here that there's not a second reading scheduled yet, but the ordinance is currently scheduled for a public hearing on December 8th, 2020, before the Infrastructure and Capital Improvement Committee, and it's set to start at 2 p.m. So I thought those of us that were interested that might have time at that time, December 8th at 2 p.m., could go to that formative committee meeting and express our interest as legislators.
Alice, through the mayor, I don't need it now, but can I get the information from you about date, time, and place?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
if I may, would the council have an issue with Mr. Seraphan and I work with staff and accounting staff in the meantime to at least get our comments on the record with them so that as it relates to the golf course issue?
I think that's a great idea, Madam Mayor.
I don't disagree with that.
I agree.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns?
Next item is announcements. Village offices will be closed in observance of Thanksgiving on Thursday, November 26th and Friday, November 27th. Normal sanitation schedules will be followed. The next village council meeting will begin at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, December 1st, the 9900 2nd Avenue building. The Recreation Department will be hosting December movie night featuring How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This event will take place on Friday, December 4th at 7 p.m. at the Community Center basketball courts. And please mark your calendar. Shred Day is on Saturday, December 5th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Presbyterian Church parking lot. Please remember to visit the village website for more information on village events, departments, and to sign up to receive agenda notifications for the village council and now for the planning board. Village council comments.
Councilman Brady, we'll start with you this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of quick things. I just wanted to, first of all, thank the staff for putting this together tonight. This worked out really well. Thank you very much. I wanted to thank also our public affairs department for such a great job cleaning up after the storm that we just had. I also just like to thank our recreation staff for continuing to run a safe, effective active care program and sports program. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to wish all of you all a very happy Thanksgiving, that everyone will be doing the last one. And to, please do remember that the coronavirus is still really exploding in the country right now, and to look out for yourself and your neighbor and do the right thing and be safe over this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brady. Councilman Nellis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to echo the thanks to staff for putting both this room together as well as the agenda. Madam Clerk did a great job just from the top full. I think to my fellow council members, it's great to see you in person, albeit under these circumstances. But it's a lot of work to do this, and I appreciate all your efforts too. And Mr. Seraphin, it's always good to see you in person. Just a point of question to Rec or to Mr. Benton. I presume Winter Wonderland is not happening. Is there anything happening with regard to the holiday?
We're still going to work out the package for the yet.
So we're gonna have Santa. We're gonna do a
Ms. Storni, if you could approach the microphone, just for the record.
We're working on having a Santa on a flatbed drive to the neighborhoods, delivering presents that the parents have given us. It'll be a sign up, and we'll take 2 nights. But I believe we're thinking 22nd and 23rd, and we'll have Santa drop them off and do a photo op, but not, we'll have the Santa in front of the vehicle, and Santa will be on the flatbed. And then also we're doing the letters to Santa, and the rec department will make sure they get the word, and Santa will respond. And then our movie night.
Great. I thank you, and I was expecting some creativity this year, and you're following through on it, so that's great. Thank you very much, you and your staff. Lastly, Madam Mayor, I want to welcome our newest restaurant, Backyard Express. But I want to remind residents to still frequent all the other businesses within the shores on Second Ave or Biscayne or elsewhere. It's nice to have new friends, but you also want to keep the old too. So don't forget the other restaurants which are also going through tough times. You have the retail on both Second and the side streets in Biscayne corridor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Vice Mayor Burke?
Yes. Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank staff that put together the production of 1,000 Eyes on the Water, which is the Miami Water Education program on Biscayne Bay. It was excellent. And it's up on the Village YouTube channel. I did not know it was Village on the YouTube channel, but it does. And this presentation was really well done. And it's done October 24th. Is available for all to see. So I'm going to ask if Jessica can put out the link to that YouTube video of that presentation. I learned a lot. I'd also like to mention that the Noise Abatement Advisory Board is really where aircraft noise issues are addressed. And Miami Shores does have the ability to have a delegate. Do you have one now? If you don't, I think that's one of the answers that we can give to these people, because it was really literally more than 2 years ago that board goes over the FAA plans. And so it's an important thing for us to be part of. And it's why people came up so surprised with this new FAA regulation. And I think it would be a good step for us to have that involvement. That person who goes to those meetings will have the information to give back to us if issues like this come up again. And the other thing I want to mention is, speaking of those businesses that might need our attention, and that is the Village Shoe Repair. I was in there today, and I know that older couple is needing some more business. So if you have not been walking off anything except your flip-flops recently, it's time to turn those shoes into Village shoes and get them in tip-top shape after we have the vaccine. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I do want to say a big thank you for getting this together. With I don't think a lot of work. So the level of gratitude and appreciation is incredible. Good work. And thank you. And I concur with everything that my colleagues said this evening. So nothing further to say. Oh, I see you. I'm sorry, Councilman Freeman. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple quick points. First of all, I want to thank the village manager, the attorney, and the council for their courtesy in allowing me to attend remotely. We have some COVID issues in the family. My wife is undergoing major surgery on Friday, and she's very apprehensive about getting exposure. My daughter-in-law had a scare about getting exposed to it on Friday. So I thank you for your courtesy. I won't have to do it again. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this is just on the national level, is I had the opportunity as a volunteer to serve as an outside poll watcher, one day at Miami Lakes, one day at Caleb Center, and one day at John F. Kennedy Library in Hialeah in the early voting. And I was all day as a credentialed interior poll watcher at the Baptist Church on 104th and Northwest 8th Avenue on Election Day, 7 to 7. And I just want to compliment the elections department, who is headed up by a local resident of Miami Shores, the most professional, hardworking, even-tempered. Oh, you would have been, your heart goes out to how hard they work to get credentialed, properly registered, properly identified voters to vote. I just saw the highest level of professional excellence by those people. And I this idea that somebody was doing something wrong, I didn't see anything like that. I saw the exact opposite. Anyway, thank you all and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Councilman Fredo, and everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Great shout out to Christina from the election department. Great shout out. There being no further business of this board, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Good night.